Happy Friday, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. Thank you so much for joining in to my channel. That's it. As the holidays are approaching this year, Thanksgiving and Christmas, I have to say Thanksgiving is the most favorite holiday for me. I just love the whole gathering of family and friends and a dinner table and exchanging memories and having laughter and having good, delicious food. It's just an exciting thing, and I love Thanksgiving. I just love having everyone come together and just enjoy our time together. And unfortunately, most people don't get the luxury of having that, having family together because some people don't have family or friends. You have some people that are homeless, runaways, and don't have no one to turn to or go to. And also, especially with Christmas as well. And sometimes we have to sit back and enjoy the moment, enjoy that God put us on this earth, to enjoy the holidays, not the whole, I'm going to say pagan, if that's the correct terminology, correct word to say, meaning that, people do things, not do Thanksgiving, but, they like the Black Friday, they like the deals and shopping on Cyber Mondays. And sometimes people tend to forget that's not what all Thanksgiving is all about, especially Christmas as well, making Christmas lists and buying presents for your loved ones and for your friends and spending tons of money on gifts and stuff like that, when sometimes we tend to forget what the holidays are meant for and what it's all about. It's not about gifts, it's not about deals, it's about building memories and having memories with your family and friends that you can cherish and look back on, not on price tags or deals or thinking the next gift you're going to get for your family members. And people tend to forget that most people are just not that lucky in life. You know what I mean? Some people are abandoned or alone, um, sleepless nights in their car, not knowing the next meal they're going to get, and it can be really tough. It can be really challenging, and sometimes we have to take a step back and help our fellow brothers and sisters, like volunteering, doing soup kitchens, going to the church and donating, things that people that they need, socks, food, blankets, shirts, undergarments, etc. And some people are lucky that they have those things. They have, homes that they can lay their head on a pillow at night and have a nice warm meal, a nice warm bed that they can sleep in. And some people don't, unfortunately. We have to remember that there's other people out there in the world that's homeless and that's alone and not knowing the next meal they're going to get, or living in a shelter, or the shelter is just over capacitated that they have to go to a next shelter, and sometimes that's full, and then they end up on the streets, hungry and cold. The whole point of this video is it's just a reminder of each and one of us, when the holidays are approaching, that we should be thankful and grateful for what we have. We should be thankful for our families and our friends and our jobs and our cars, and whether we're going through good circumstances or bad circumstances, we should be grateful for everything because we're here dealing with it. Even though that can be hard and frustrating and annoying at times, but at least we're here. At least we're here to deal with it. Most people are just not that lucky. They end up dead. They end up, on drugs, prostitution, among other things that they are not forced to do, but they have to do to survive. So it's good during these times, to lead a helping hand and to give back to our community and give back to people that desperately needs it, and not judging them because we don't know people's circumstances. We don't know their story. And sometimes we should just take our busy time and get to know their stories and figure out what happened to them and give them a helping hand and give them, advice or scripture or anything to lift them up and let them know that everything is going to be okay. It doesn't seem that way, but everything is going to be okay with being positive, being joyful, and just leading a helping hand. And we tend to forget that a lot because we're so busy with our own life schedule. We're always on the go. We're always on the run. We're always doing this and that. And we tend to not like take a step back and realize, it's good to give back. It's good to give a helping hand when someone needs it. And that's why, and it shouldn't be just about the holidays. It should be like this every day, throughout, 365 days a year. We should be doing that. Like I said, it's not just about the holidays. It's not helping. It should be like this every single day. But like I said, Thanksgiving is like the most. It's my most favorite holiday in the whole wide world, besides Easter as well. Christmas, I'm not. Christmas, it's about the birth of Christ. I love going to church and praying, giving thanks that Jesus was born on that day. Even though a lot of people saying that he wasn't really born on Christmas Day, which I need to do more research on because I get different stories by different people that Jesus Christ was not born on actual Christmas Day. So either way, I still like to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ and not worry about the whole pagan thing about the world, like Christmas gifts and worrying about what I'm going to get the next person or the next person when that's not what Christmas is all about for me. For me. Now I know a lot of people like to decorate their trees, which I do, and go all out with the Christmas lights and everything, which that's fine. I'm not passing judgment on anyone, but for me, I during those holidays, I like to give back as much as I can. I'm not rich. I don't really have money like that, but if I can give back, meaning going to church and donate, doing soup kitchen, feeding the homeless, stuff like that, that makes me happy and that gives me joy to do because again, a lot of people are just not fortunate to have a home that they can have, a warm bed at night. Some people have to end up on the streets in the cold, especially, winter is approaching. It depends what state you live in. If it's Chicago, New York, Michigan, what else I can think of? Boston, all those north states, North Carolina, Georgia, certain places that's very cold and that snows. And, certain states are it's cold as well, but you get the point that I'm getting at. And the whole reason for me to do this video, like I said, is just to be thankful and appreciative of everything that God blessed me. And I even think of for the good things and the bad things as well, and the hard things and the frustrating things, because it just reminds me that, even though everyone's going through struggles, whether it's a mental illness or you're going through stuff with your finances or with your spouse or your friends or whatever the case might be, that you're here, you're on this earth, you're here to go through it. Even though sometimes people don't like to go through trials and tribulations, but we're here. And each day is always a new day. So whatever happened yesterday or the day before, that's done and over with. We always have to worry about today because today is always a new day to fight. Keep fighting, never quitting, never giving up, never letting anyone tell you that you cannot do something that you shouldn't be doing. Meaning that if God tends for you to do something in your heart to help others or to accomplish something, do it. Don't let anyone stop you. Don't let anyone encourage you. You do it. If that's in your heart and that's led for you to do it, do it. Wherever it takes. You keep fighting. You fight, fight, fight. Never give up. Never give hope. And at the end of the day, at least you gave it your all. At least you did not quit. And what else I can say? Yeah, so I just wanted to do this short video because again, the holidays are approaching and I love fall. I love Thanksgiving. I love the food. The in my house, in my family households, we get together with food and do karaoke's and reminisce on things that growing up, and it's just fun. It's just fun to do, and then just looking at my nieces and them having memories and experience and stuff like that. And like I said, most families or most people don't get to have that luxury doing that because again, they're going through certain circumstances. And all I'm saying at the end of the day, again, not passing judgment, is that we should always be thankful and not worry about the things in the world and just be in the present, be in the moment, and thanking God each and every day that we get to live another day and being grateful and thankful. for everything that He has done for us, whether it's good, bad, struggles, hardship, whatever the case is. At least you're here. At least you're here to deal with it and to overcome it and make sure that you can do something better or something extraordinary in your life. And don't let anyone discourage you of that, because you're going to have people that's going to discourage you and have people plant seeds in your head that you're not capable of doing things. They don't know that. Only God knows. So why listen to anyone that's planting seeds in your head that you can't do this or you can't do that? How do they know? That's just discouragement. Why would you want to be around someone like that to discourage you and tell you you're not capable of doing this? How do they know? They don't know your capabilities. Only God does. And that's the funny thing is when people try to discourage you, saying you can't do this, Sarah, you can't do that. It's just crazy to me. You know what I mean? So don't listen to that. That's just the enemy talking to the other person, trying to discourage you, and don't feel discouraged. Lastly, before I let you go, guys, the whole reason why I said, being thankful and grateful, an incident happened at my job, which I'm not going to name the job where I work because I still currently work there, that, something happened to one of the nurses and she got let go. I believe she was blindsided. Again, I wasn't there. And I just don't like, telephone, meaning that one person said this, the other person said that. Again, I was not in that board meeting. I don't know what was discussed, what was transparent, why they let that particular nurse go. However, I heard that they told her that she can still keep her job. However, she's going to step down and she's going to work underneath the other nurse, which the other nurse who basically got fired, basically, going to take her old position back. And then the person that left that current job came back, but she stepped down and took the other position job. I know it sounds confusing. And she said no. I'm like, who can blame her? You know what I mean? Like, the person left the higher rank, okay, she moved and went somewhere else. Then you promoted this other nurse, the head charge nurse, to that woman's position because she left. Now you had this board meeting and then you let her go and then you want her back in her old position. That makes no sense. And first of all, that's just awkward and weird when that woman that left originally and she came back. And again, I have nothing against the nurse that came back. She hasn't done anything to me. She's very lovely, very nice. I just didn't like, in my opinion, how she went about it. To me, in my opinion, it was all planned. It was all premeditated that once she got back and got the job, not the job that she wanted, but she got her job back, that she was planning. She was planning to get the job that she wanted when she left originally. You know what I mean? Because she knew one of the doctors, because the doctors is a member of the board, and she knew what she was doing. You know what I mean? I don't know if she was trying to make the other nurse life miserable or the other nurses miserable. I don't know. I don't know what was her tactic, but to me, that was premeditated what she was doing. And I don't blame the other nurse for leaving, because for me, I just wouldn't stay. I just wouldn't stay if you fire me, but you offer me to stay, but I'm going to work under that person who kind of like demoted me. You know what I mean? It makes no sense. It's just going to be awkward and weird, and it's just messed up thing to do. And my whole point of this is just about principle. You just don't do that to another human being who basically worked her ass off, trying to make the business successful and do whatever she can to accommodate everyone, especially the nurses back there, and doing what she does. You know what I mean? And to me, in my opinion, she did a great job. She did a great job, even though it was the other side of the department of PACU and stuff like that, and I worked in a business aspect of it, but still, you know what I mean? She did an incredibly good job. And I feel like she didn't deserve that. I don't feel like she deserved to be let go like that, being blindsided. And at the end of the day, it's about money. It's about power. I feel like people don't really care about other people. You know what I mean? And I'm taking my feelings out of this. I'm not in my feelings. I had to separate it, because when we all first told about this particular nurse is no longer going to work at the facility, I was stunned. However, I was not surprised, but I was very stunned how they went about doing that, because that's very messed up. And to me, I feel like those doctors don't have no principle, no morals to do that to another human being, especially a nurse, because nurses, work their ass off. And I feel like nurses get a bad rap. They really do. They put doctors in a high pedestal, which, I get it with doctors. They went to school, they got a degree, their masters and whatever, and they put themselves through med school. I get all that. I get that. But there's some doctors that's very nasty and not very nice and very condescending. And you get some doctors that's very caring and very nice and very thoughtful. But you have some doctors that are cutthroats. You really do. And there's some doctors I really don't care for, except for one doctor that I worked for in New York, which I absolutely respect and adore. And he's a Christian man. He's a father, a grandfather. I do Bible studies with him every Wednesday night. He is a typical Christian man, and he's a doctor. He's an orthopedic surgeon, well known, well respected. And I have to say, and I worked in the medical field for a very long time, he's the only doctor that I encounter, the most respectful, nice doctor that you can ever meet and ever work for. You know what I mean? And I've worked with other doctors in the past, and he is an exception of the rule. Now, does he want certain things to be done a certain type of way? Of course, that's just part of life. That's part of business when you work for a doctor. However, he treats all his staff with respect, with dignity, and he will always have his employees back when a patient is being disrespectful to his staff. He has no problem letting the patient know, you can't do that. And if you continue to do that, I'm no longer going to be your doctor. That's the kind of doctor he is. Principles, morals, you know what I mean? He just don't take the patient's side because he's a doctor and then he's the patient. We all have feelings. We all deserve respect. Respect. That's the word, respect. We all deserve that. And because you're a patient or a doctor doesn't mean that we shouldn't be respected. We all should deserve respect. At the end of the day, it's about principle. And I told one of my coworkers, it doesn't matter what you do, how hard you work, how much, if you come to work on time and do whatever, everyone's replaceable, basically. I'm sorry to be the bearing of bad news. Everyone's replaceable, at your job. Doesn't matter if you never called out sick. Doesn't matter if you clock in on time. It doesn't matter if you do your work efficiently. Everyone is expendable unless you own your own business, which I highly recommend people should. You should be your own boss, because when you're your own boss, you can do whatever you want. Yes, it's a lot of work and a lot of responsibility, but at the end of the day, you don't answer to nobody. You don't answer to anyone. You really don't. And I recommend that if you have a talent or you trying to be an entrepreneur, go for it and do it full force. Do it. So my point is, it's about principle. And again, I wasn't there at the board meeting. I don't know what was exchanged. Again, it's about principle. It's about respect. And I just didn't like that. I just didn't like that at all, how it turned out. And it's just wrong. You know what I mean? Like, again, I have no relationship with the doctors at all. Half the time I don't even know half of them or know their names, except for one doctor's name that two actually that I know and that I've seen. The rest, I really don't really see them because I work on a different side of the department. However, I have no respect for the doctors that did that to that nurse, because that nurse busted her ass, worked hard, accommodated a lot of things. And for her to be treated that way is just wrong. It's just wrong. But at the end of the day, God knew what he was doing. So even though it was a bad situation and what the doctors did to that nurse, letting her go like that, being blindsided, was wrong. However, I know from the bottom of my heart that nurse is going to be okay, because that's what I told my coworker. She's going to be okay. She's just going to be fine. Everything happens for a reason. God does things sometimes we may not understand. We may not understand. We may not understand. We be upset. We're crying. We're frustrated. We're asking why this happened. But God is going to reveal why he did what he did. And I know for a shadow of a doubt that that nurse is going to find something better, something that's fulfilling, something she's going to be happy with. And then she's going to look back and say, thank you, Jesus. Again, I don't know her personal relationship with God. With that being said, I know that she's going to be okay. I just know that. And that's all I have to say about that, you guys. Thank you so much for joining in on my channel. That's it. And listening to my video content. I really appreciate you, each one of you, And I will see you guys on Monday. Have a safe, blessed weekend, and take care, and God bless.